Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first of three quick prediction shows tonight. We've got a packed weekend of action, unlike last week, where we're doing prediction shows for misfits. Welcome, Jay and Liam, tonight. How are we, boys?
Good. Yeah, good. Ready for a busy week of talking about fights.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a stacked week this week. We'll start with the main events we'll cover tonight, and then we'll cover the co-mains and a couple of the undercards on the Wednesday slot this week. We'll start with Nottingham then. Dalton Smith finally coming around to getting his shot at the European Super Lightweight Championship. He's facing Walid Ouizza. I can't say I know a lot about him coming into the fight. He's 19-2. Dalton Smith, big momentum after that body shot KO against Zepeda last time out. He looked fantastic in that. Obviously, the Adam Azine fight's been spoke about, but he's got to get through the Frenchman in Nottingham on Saturday night. How do you see the fight going, boys?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see Dalton Smith back. We were robbed of seeing him towards the end of 2024 with an ankle injury, I think it was. So it's good that he seems to be recovered from that, because obviously he had the momentum from the Zepeda fight, and we were excited to see how he was going to end last year. He was meant to fight for this European strap in November, wasn't he? But it fell off. In terms of Ouizza, he's a former European champion, so he's got some kind of pedigree. He won a vacant belt and then looks like he was stripped through injury from a bit of digging I've done today. Also picks up the EBU silver title, which was held by Bruno Serace when he fought Munguia, so he can't write off the European silver title, as we learned in recent months. But if we're honest, it's a good name for Dalton Smith in the fact it's a former European champion. But if Dalton Smith has the potential we think he does, and we believe he can go to the levels he is, then he should win this fight convincingly. It's all about how he's recovered from the injury. We know he's had to modify his sparring. He saw an interview with him with International Boxing Hub or something today where he said, I've had to modify my sparring in this camp just because I can't. My ankle's probably still not 100%, which is never good to hear from a fighter if they're admitting to making modifications. But you'd expect Dalton Smith's pedigree should see him through this fight. It's just about what sort of ambition Walid comes over with. If he comes over to survive and try and get a decision, then he may be able to do that. But if he's got any ambition of a fight, then we could see Dalton.
Yeah, 100%. Evening, DJ Pat. Hope you're well, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Jay's Fight Talk. How do we see things, my man?
Yeah, very, very similar to what Liam said. You know, I don't know stacks and stacks about Ouizza, but as Liam said, you know, he's won fringe European titles or versions of. He hasn't boxed outside of his home country much. Up until Dalton made the statement that Liam said about his ankle, I was sort of confident that it was all set up for Dalton to sort of have not a homecoming as such, but it's northern-ish, but it was set up for Dalton to look good and then look at, wait to make an announcement as such, and then we're waiting for the 1st of February, and then, we hopefully get the fight that we're all looking for. The fact that Dalton's come out with a ready-made excuse fight week for me it's not concerning. Yeah. It's concerning. It's like he's going into it. I know fighters rarely go into a fight 100%. It's like footballers; they're always nursing something, a sore toe or a sore wrist or something. But ordinarily, they just leave it and they'll say afterwards if they have a below par performance. You'd expect him to say, look, my ankle's not back to 100%. I couldn't put much weight on it, etc., etc. But the fact that he's made a point of coming out and saying that fight week, for me, is like Ari's camp thinking, look, he's good enough to beat him as he is now, but we need to put it out there so that people are ready for a below par performance. I'm unsure what to make of that.
Yeah.
It's Justice Hooney-esque, isn't it? So Hooney, when he fought on the upper tire card, we knew he had the elbow injury going into the fight. They made certain that they got the photos after the fight with him with an ice pack on his elbow, and now it's come out today that he's having surgery and he's out till May. So they got those excuses in very, very early. The difference is fighting Sean Pontega in an 8-rounder in a fight that's tailor-made for you to get an early finish is very different from a European title fight. I mean, I fully expect Dalton to win, And the fact it's an ankle injury rather than a hand or wrist injury, I still believe he'll get a stoppage. But yeah, I'm not sure. The interview's a couple of weeks old, so it's from during his training camp, but just something there isn't right. The fact that he's readily admitted he's had to make adaptations yes, wouldn't be my way of going.
Let's be fair, there's been some noise coming out of that Grant Smith gym, hasn't there? Evening, Luke. I hope you're well, mate. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, there's been some noise, hasn't there, with the whole Sonny situation. And, I think there's been a little bit of unrest coming out of that gym in the past few months. So it's a big night for obviously, it's his dad's gym. But it's a big night for them on Saturday. I'll kick off, boys, with where I'm at with it. I think Dalton will win. I don't think Walid Ouizza is the guy to stop him. I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's obvious that he's been trying to pick up. He's meant to fight Fernandez, wasn't he, a few months ago? That kind of fell through. It's obvious he just wants to pick up the European belt. He's probably going to be slung into World Championship fights in the not too distant future. Does he go for the Azim fight in the summer? It's probably bigger money than some of the other fights out there for him. I think so. And then the winner will be in line for a world title. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to go with Dalton to stop him, actually. I think he'll be the first to stop Ouizza. I'm going to go with an 8th round stoppage. I think Dalton's punching quite hard at the moment. But like you boys said, if there's any sign of injury or anything like that, or he's not on it, look, like you said earlier about Munguia and Suresh, we've seen it many a time. He's got to be on it on Saturday night, but I think he will be. Pat's gone for the UD. I'm going for a knockout in 8. How do we see it, boys?
I'm toying between two, so I were thinking that we'd get some. You know what I'm like with my stupid random picks, but I think the foot's going to cause him an issue, and I see him labouring to a split decision. I think there's going to be some form of controversy. I think there might be at first I was going to say a technical draw. I could see there being a clash of heads and something like that, because I have noticed that Walid Ouizza does duck low and come up, and Dalton's very has a compressed style, ducks low himself, so I can see heads coming together. I just think there's going to be something, maybe Dalton trips over his own feet and it looks like a knockdown and gets a count. I think there's going to be something. So I'm going for Dalton, but a laboured split decision.
Okay.
I mean, look, before I heard, like similar to you, Joe, before I heard about this injury, I was thinking this was going to be Dalton Smith. Emphatic stoppage, finally picks up the European belt 5-6 months later than he should have. And then they roll into Adam Azim, because that fight has to happen in the summer. Don't care what anyone says, as long as Azim comes through Lipinets next weekend, we have to see that fight in the summer. That's the way it is. Now I'm in two minds, but I think, look, Dalton showed what he can do with his power against Zepeda. He'd already been building up to that body shot, and the one that he obviously finished Zepeda with was an absolute peach, and I think he's going to do something similar. I'm not going to predict body shot stoppage, but I do think he'll get a stoppage. I think he'll go early. I think by round 5 we see Dalton Smith getting a stoppage. If he doesn't trust his ankle, he's going to sit down on his punches and he's going to go for it early. That could be to his detriment, which is like what you said. But I think at this level, his power will carry him through enough, and I think a 5th round.
Sorry, and I can't disagree, even though I've given a different prediction. But the only caveat I would insert there, Liam, is if his ankle is giving him trouble, he ain't going to be able to sit down on his punches, because you can't, can he?
David Hay Bellew style.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out, aren't we, mate? It's as an extra dynamic.
David Hay Klitschko, for example, that was his big thing, and that was the toe. If his ankle's as bad as he's leading us to believe it was, and it's troubling him, then he might have enough power regardless of sitting down. But if he needs it, then it could be a problem. Hence why I've gone for
it makes it interesting that he's disclosed it during fight week. But it's definitely made me a little bit more interested in the fight. Like you said, I think it's a bit less one-sided now. But we've got Jay's Fight Talk on a SD for Dalton Smith. Liam, I think we went round 5 knockout, did you, for Dalton? And I've gone in the 8th. So all 3 for Dalton. Obviously, let us know what you think. Thanks to Pat and Luca for joining us on this one. We've got 2 more to go tonight. We've got Nahoya Inoue against Yi Jun Kim next.